Imagine a town so overwhelmed by death that families had to bury soldiers in their own backyards. No plan, no warning, just 3 days of chaos that would leave over 50,000 men dead, wounded, or missing. This is the story of the Battle of Gettysburg, the moment the American Civil War changed forever. By the summer of 1863, Confederate General Robert E. Lee has been feeling confident. He's had just won several major battle victories, and instead of staying on the defensive, he made a bold decision: invade the North. This is going to accomplish several things. One, it's going to take pressure off of southern farms. Two, it'll threaten northern cities like Philadelphia and possibly force the Union to consider ending the war. But most importantly, he hoped to break the morale of the North. Standing in his way was a new Union commander, George Meade. So why did they fight at Gettysburg? Well, honestly, it wasn't planned. That wasn't the intended place. It just turns out that's where they end up meeting. I think there's about 8 to 10 different major roads that lead into Gettysburg, so it's kind of a natural meeting point. But it was a random collision that brought the battle to that place. But before we get started, I want to make clear one thing. Before we get too much into the fighting, I want to just make sure you understand what a flanking maneuver is. So you can see a flanking maneuver is really just when you are attacking both. There's a frontal assault, but then part of your forces are used to come and attack the side of your enemy. And so this maneuver is just called the flank. You attack the flank. And so that's just important to understand. If you want to understand the Battle of Gettysburg and really many battles throughout history, then you need to understand what that maneuver is. So on day one, the fighting is actually starting just outside of Gettysburg, and it starts off as a couple of small skirmishes, and all of a sudden a few more troops are moved up, and a few more troops, and a few more troops, and all of a sudden what starts off as a rather short what starts off as a battle that maybe isn't going to be that serious or just a few people, all of a sudden is a major battle, and we have a lot of fighting happening. And so it's going well for the South. It's looking good for them. But the Union Army makes a critical move. They retreat under heavy pressure from the South, but when they do that, they are retreating to higher ground. And so you can see here is Cemetery Hill, and here's Cemetery Ridge, and these Union forces are going to retreat to this higher ground. There was some opportunity for the Confederate forces to take some of that ground, and they don't get there fast enough. And so they kind of hesitated, and that proved to be costly for them in the war, in the battle. So day two really focuses on Little Round Top and Culp's Hill. We see a lot of the fighting happening in this places. So whoever controls the high ground is going to have an advantage. The Confederate launched several attacks at both Union flanks. The most famous moment comes at Little Round Top. You can see here at the bottom. Nobody is actually there on either side initially. Union forces and Confederate forces hurry to get there. The Union forces get there just a bit before, and are successful at keeping Little Round Top. One of the stories here is of Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, and his men were running out of ammunition. This is Union Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. And so what do? They fix bayonets and charge downhill towards the Confederate lines, and it worked. They were able to hold their line and save the entire Union position and keep the Union safe. So that's so Little Round Top is the Union left flank, Culp's Hill is the Union right flank, and they are both defended successfully. Which brings us to the third day, which is Pickett's charge. And on the Pickett's charge, this is the climax. General Robert E. Lee makes a bold and risky decision. So he's tried the flanks on the prior day, so he's going to send between 12,000 and 15,000 soldiers right up the middle. No cover. There's going to under heavy fire. This becomes known as Pickett's Charge, and it is a disaster. Within minutes, thousands are killed or wounded, and the attack collapses. Lee's invasion of the North is over. So, what are the results of this? Gettysburg is a turning point. This is a key moment. This July 3rd, 1863, nearly the exact same time that the Union is going to be winning at Vicksburg, which we're going to talk about as well in the West. Basically, the same day, these two major battles are happening. And the Confederacy lost momentum. Lee never invades the North again, and the Union begins to take control of the war. What is the human cost to all of this? Over 50,000 casualties total. Bodies are everywhere. Not enough coffins. Families buried soldiers in gardens and fields, even in their own yards. And in the middle of it all, 20-year-old civilian named Jenny Wade was baking bread when a stray bullet struck her, making her the only civilian killed during the battle. So, some other key points to remember is this ended any hopes that Great Britain would have of recognizing Confederacy. The Confederacy is never able to invade the North again. Robert E. Lee's invincibility is broken. And just remember, this all started as an accident, not just because, but it became the moment the Civil War truly turned. Not just because of the strategy or leadership, but because of the sheer cost. A single town overwhelmed by war forced a nation to confront what this conflict was really demanding.